Okay, welcome everyone. Good evening. My name is Sonia Sykes. I'm the principal of William G. Davis, and we welcome you our very first school council meeting of 2025-2026 school year. We're trying something a little bit new this year, so we are both in person as well as online for those who weren't able to come in person, and we hope you pop in, and I'll be posting the link to this recording at the end of the evening so that if you weren't able to make it, you can always jump on and hear some of the exciting news of what's happening here at Davis. So thank you so much for joining in and being part of our meeting. I'm just going to start us off with a territorial acknowledgement. I try to make connections as much as I can on a personal level, and it seeps into my professional life and how it impacts how I lead. So I just wanted to say, as a personal, a little bit of sharing of my own story, I'm a person who loves to be outside. I love to go hiking. Here are some pictures of me at Rattlesnake Point, which is in the Halton area, not too far from here. And I'm very aware of thousands of years before Europeans came, we had Indigenous First Nations peoples who were the guardians of the land, who were stewards of the land. And I want to recognize that as a school, we still owe so much to the richness of the teachings and the understandings of both the land, the water, the air, and the place that we called Waterloo Region. So as we start our time together, I want to acknowledge that the land that William G. Davis is on is the land traditionally used by the Haudenosaunee, the Anishinaabe, and the Chinantan peoples. I'd like to also acknowledge the enduring presence of the deep traditional knowledge, laws, philosophies, teachings, and wisdoms of the Indigenous people with whom we share this land today, this evening. So we are all treaty people with a responsibility to honor our relations. And also to let you know, September 30th is Orange Shirt Day. And here at Davis, we will be recognizing the history of residential schools and its impact on Indigenous children by an activity of remembrance. We have many resources that our teachers will be sharing with the students to encourage conversations and opportunities for students to reflect on what their thinkings are or their understandings of this part of Canadian history, and also a chance to respond. So if you are driving by William G. Davis after the 30th, you may notice some orange ribbons that will be displayed on the fence. The students will be writing messages or notes or words that come to mind as they think about Orange Shirt Day, and they'll be displaying those ribbons all along the fence. And inside our building, because we have a just in case it rains situation, inside our building we will have a bulletin board with different orange colored shirts, basically. And again, students will be able to write reflections or thoughts that they have based on our time, our dedicated time to learning more about the history of residential schools here in Canada. So we also want to make sure that it's not just something we say one time, but we continue to do so throughout the school year. Before I continue, I want to introduce our new Vice Principal, Heidi Scherer, who has joined us on staff at William G. Davis. And Heidi, would you like to just give something as a way of introduction?
Yeah, so I'm really excited to be part of the William G community. I'm looking forward to working alongside all the teachers and students and getting to know the parents. I'm coming from a K to 8 school, and so I've got lots of experience with our middle school students, and really just looking forward to building community with everybody involved.
Thank you so much, Heidi. We appreciate you joining us in this virtual way. So here are some goals, and I'm going to introduce our chair, Katie Bruda, who is going to take over, and I'm just going to facilitate with some slide transitions, and she'll talk a little bit more about all things school council.
There we go. Okay. No camera, but the audio is working. Yeah, we're good. Oh, no. That's okay. So hello. I put a few notes in here today just to kind of get us started, and then at the end of the notes, kind of put some brainstorming together. If anyone has ideas they've done in the past or would like to submit any ideas or explore them for this year, So we'll start off with some goals that we're going to do this year. Of course, fundraising, and usually in the past, those funds have been used for the grade 8 celebration or excursions, transportation fees, sports equipment, and the grade 7 meet and greet. We also had a guest speaker last year for the parents and for the students, which worked out really well. So we look forward to doing that again this upcoming year. And then we'll get into some volunteer opportunities that are also available. So the first one that we have confirmed, we did for the last 2 years, and we're going to do this again. They changed it up a little bit with the offer, but we are confirmed to do October 26th through October 30th, so right before Halloween. And then we were able to secure Super Bowl weekend again. So hopefully a great fundraiser with tons of pizza orders, February 8th through the 12th. This year it's a little different. Instead of receiving a certain number of proceeds, it's $5 from every order of the specials that they're having below. It's a little bit different. Last year it was 50%, and we received $240 from the 2 fundraisers last year that we did. And the Make It So we did in the spring this previous year, and it went really well. I liked this one and kind of decided to just continue what we did last year because it's super turnkey. Orders are done online, payments done online, and the order just comes sorted to the school. So we are in for this, but I would like to explore. They have a different option they've added, which are different spice lines they have. So I have that a little bit later if we wanted to add that in November, around November. Next. And then we're still doing the gaming, Cambridge Gaming with the center. That's what, yeah. So I didn't know if we had any dates for this year for this year or 2026.
We're covered for
Oh, perfect.
this year.
Check. Okay. Perfect. Okay, the next one. Yeah, so I just had some ideas here. Last year we did do the big box cards. It went pretty well. However, it was a bit of a logistical nightmare and payment nightmare. We still were getting invoices at the end of the year, even though we had settled. And we had card boxes missing and families missing their boxes. And it was a bit of a nightmare, but they did ask if we wanted to do it again. So I left it in here as a possibility. I know those boxes sometimes last a while, so I don't know if people are still using the boxes that they bought of 30, 35 cards. But it is an option. So if anyone is interested and you'd like to explore it or add it to a month this year, please let me know. The Make It So here, I have the spices. There's a little picture on the bottom, but they have 12 different spices, seasonings, packages, very similar to the seeds. You purchase it online, pay online, the order comes to the school. So I was thinking November, maybe before Christmas, through December. I thought it'd be pretty turnkey. I think it's Cafiza contacted the school directly. They have a coffee fundraiser. So I have reached out to them asking them to send us some additional details on how the program actually works, what the incentives are, and how we would be able to work with them. And then I threw this one in here because I had the opportunity to experience grade 8 graduation last year and did not realize how big it was and exciting and what a big day that was from the minute that my older one woke up till the time we got home. So I really thought it's a great opportunity to engage the community this year and invite all of our vendors who are working back this year, but also see if there's anything else that we can do outside or in the lobby that day with all the parents and students here and just kind of enhance the day and make it, even better because everyone's just so excited. So I have that one on here to just think of some ideas through the year that we can do for that day. Yeah. And so, yeah, I just have here, if there's anyone can think of any new opportunities that have come up or they've had on their sports teams or at other schools that they think would be a great fit for us, I'd be glad to take a look at them and explore them. And then I just did put in here that we have confirmed May 6th this year. We'll be doing the parent engagement evening with Coach Miguel again, and he'll be here during the date for the students. Yeah.
Thank you so much for that report and all the amazing ideas to come. And of course, please share any feedback or other additional ideas that you may have in terms of fundraising for our school community. At this point, I'd like to just share with you, as part of my principal's report, as we are at the beginning of the school year, I think it's important for our parents, guardians, caregivers understanding what is our 2025-26 school improvement plan. And I can give you two words. One is growth and the other is consistency. Last year, our staff had committed to learning and incorporating new instructional strategies and planning as per the WRDSP plans for both in structured literacy as well as for the math action plan. So part of the math action plan, I'll talk a little bit about that in the subsequent slides, as well as the structured literacy intervention that we incorporated as part of the board's plan. I did want to say that our school, we want to grow deeper and more consistent in our practices of what's called Tier 1 and Tier 3 small group instruction. I'll talk a little about that. And then, of course, our equity, human rights focus. We're going to continue our focus on Words Matter, and I'll talk some more on that as well. So the first part of our school learning improvement plan is structured literacy intervention. And what is our focus? Well, as a board, we are based on the Right to Read document that came out a few years ago, just centering the whole importance on the ability to read and comprehend and be able to communicate what you have read. It is exponentially the key for students, not only for achievement in school, but achievement in life. And it is a human right. So it's important for us as educators to help our students develop fluency in their reading. And so I'd like to read a quote for you from one of the research papers around the importance and the science of reading. And it says, to develop fluency, we need teacher-directed lessons in which children spend the maximum amount of time engaged in reading connected text. And so what does that mean? A little bit in our classrooms. What it means is that there is actual breaking down of decoding multisyllabic words and learning what a syllable is and how combinations of phonemes and different consonant blends. And it might seem very basic. Oh, here we go. Welcome, welcome. It might seem a little bit basic. Welcome, welcome. It might seem a little bit basic, but these are the foundational skills that we don't want to take for granted and assume that our students have. So we start with the building blocks of reading, and we move into from there when we also use a board research-based, a board-approved assessment tool called the ORF and the MAISE. And the ORF is the Oral Reading Fluency Assessment. And when we use that assessment tool, we're able to determine in our classrooms which students might be in a yellow zone or red zone. And we can target more specifically what is it they need and what skills do they need to build to move into a green area. So we are being very intentional about our student groupings and the amount of time that we spend and the kind of skills that we're teaching to help our students move forward in their reading fluency, which will impact all of the courses that they take. Some of the strategies that we're using to create the learning conditions for all students. One of them is called Universal Design for Learning, or UDL, and that includes high quality instruction that ensures that it's accessible to all students. And that includes the way that we present our materials. It's not just in print, it's oral, it's possibly in different languages, it could be in different fonts, and the learning environment could be varied as well, because we want to make sure that our students can access their learning however they present, however they arrive in our classrooms. Another strategy that we're using in our classroom is something called differentiation. And this process is learning more about your students and their strengths and their needs, and the learning tasks are informed by the assessment and tailored to those small groups and individuals. So again, if we find through our assessments that there are in a class of 25, about 6 students who need some specific targeted interventions to help them move forward and be at the level of their peers, we take those times to do so. So in our classrooms at Davis, you will see small group instruction in practice, not just in the language classroom, but also in the science classroom, in the French classroom. We're trying to incorporate that small group instruction model throughout our school. The third strategy that we're using to address this is, of course, accommodations on an IEP. And so families, if you have a student who has an accommodated or a modified IEP or an individual education plan, you will be hearing from the school if you haven't heard already, you should have received a letter just asking for your feedback, identifying the strengths and the areas of development for your student, because it's very important that we as a school partner with the families and better understanding what kind of plans work best for your child. So after consulting with the families and with their classroom teachers, we create the individual education plan, and they'll be shared with families early October. And so for families who are not quite familiar with the IEP, these are changes to the instructional, the environmental, or the assessment methods or approaches that is essential for that student to access the curriculum. The content is presented, and the way that they should know it is based on the individual student. It could be accommodations such as a student needs to sit closer to the front, or a student might need some quiet space to process their learning. Whatever that accommodation is, this particular document documents it, and we implement it throughout your students' time here at Davis and thereon. Another aspect of our slip is also our commitment to math instruction. So I just want to share with you a little bit of the tools that are being used throughout the Waterloo Region District School Board, and particularly here at Davis. As a math team, all of our math teachers are using this tool, which it's called long range plans, that are shared centrally from the board to our math instructors to give them a sense of scope and sequence of the different units that can be taught in a way that is incrementally building upon the other. And it's also a recursive manner as well. So if we find our students as we're teaching, they've missed this, they don't have quite grasped that particular concept, we can, circle back and teach it and move forward. So it's very much a fluid, as much as it seems very linear if you look at the bottom chart, it's also a very fluid approach to addressing specific needs for the students that are right in front of you. So we're really excited for the plans and the resources that the board has shared, and our math team, we're all together on board and supporting our students both with small group instructions as the specific needs arise, as well as our whole group instruction as we move together in the same direction. In terms of our human rights and equity commitment, and in terms of growth and consistency, we're going to continue working on the Words Matter campaign that we started last year at our school. Here's a framework just to help you understand the basics of the Words Matter campaign. In this framework, we are trying to not only train our staff, but also train or encourage our students to understand when they hear discriminatory language, it's good to interrupt it and stop it and explain why that term or the words are hurtful or harmful to others, to acknowledge that harm has been done, and to support those who were hurt or harmed. But the most important piece I feel on this whole diagram is the integration piece. We make mistakes everywhere, and we try to encourage our students to understand something might be said and maybe you didn't intend it, but harm was done. So let's work together to reintegrate and rebuild relationships, and so we can grow together. So as Katie had shared before, we are so excited for the upcoming parent engagement event on May 6th, and that's also going to be our Words Matter Day, where we celebrate the work that we're doing. But between now and May, there's a lot of work to be done. And so we will be gathering student voice data as well as staff voice data on their own personal experiences here in our buildings. What do we need to know about the words that they hear in the cafeterias, in the yards, in the hallways, as well as in their classroom? And from what our students are telling us, we can now respond in understanding what their needs are and how we can address them together. And I feel like this framework, which is very much aligned to the WRDSB Direct tool, will help all of us stop and address discriminatory language. This is an extra slide that as an example of what we use with our students to help them understand that intent is not the focus. You might not have meant harm, it's understanding the impact. How does that person feel that those words have been made? So this is an example of some of the workshop materials that we have been given through Harmony Movement, and that's the organization who has accompanied or who has partnered with us to help build this knowledge base and understanding of the harm and the impact of discriminatory language. Okay. I have here again a little snippet of a video. It's 3 minutes long, and it's a student who talks about how it feels. And this would be an example of what we would share with staff to help them understand a student's perspective. Someone who hears words and the impact it has on their life. So I'm going to have you. Hopefully, you can hear this. And Heidi, if you can let me know if you cannot, and we'll adjust it from there. So I hope you can hear this information.
I feel like for a lot of us, you kind of just accept or expect racism to happen. You're like, okay, I know where I go. I know the people that are around me, and I know that I'm probably gonna face this, or I'm probably gonna have this experience, and you kind of just have to accept it and go with it. Like, there's times in the hallway when I hear the N-word used more than I would ever, that I have ever used it in my lifetime, and it's like, I can't go to a teacher because they're just like, oh, what can we do about it? And it's like, you just expect racism to happen, and you have no one that'll understand, because the teachers don't, because they don't they don't go through the same thing. So and in my school, at least, there's no black teachers there, or there's very few black teachers there. So you kind of feel like you can't talk to anyone because there's no one who'll get it.
There's no person of authority that can understand your experience.
Okay, there we go. So just an example of, some of the resources that we share with our staff to get those conversations going, trying to understand our students' perspectives and how we can address not only the hurtful language, but how we can build relationships with our students so that we can partner together in keeping everyone safe. So more information to come at our next meeting in terms of some of the information that we're gathering from our students. Okay, at this point, I'd like to share just some upcoming events or special dates that I hope you can mark on your calendars. Here we have next week, Wednesday, the 24th of September is Photo Day. So if you haven't already marked on your calendars and you want your student to get all dolled up and have some photos to remember, again, it's next Wednesday on the 24th. If for some reason your student is not at school, dentist, doctor's appointments, those things happen, don't worry. We do have a photo retake day, and we will provide information on that time. And normally it's about a month to 6 weeks after our original photo day. But again, we will share all that information with families so they're prepared. Next week, Friday, September the 26th, permission forms have been sent to our families, and they are on school day, and we ask our parents to sign these permission forms for the upcoming Terry Fox Day. So this is an exciting day for our students. We spend an entire day looking at the story of Terry Fox and the work that he had done during his life to raise funds towards cancer research. We hear the stories of people who were impacted by his work, as well as some stories of people who have their lives have been touched by the research that has benefited their own treatment and cure of their cancers. And then we also have a walk around the community. And for some students, especially those in our cross-country team, they're going to be running around the block, but most of the students will be walking around. So we do ask our parents and families to please sign, and digitally, it's quite easy to sign those permission forms for your student to leave the property. If there's a reason why your student cannot, that is not a problem. We do have a pretty large yard, and so we'll ask those students just to walk the yard. But it really is quite something to have classes move together, walking that kilometer and a bit out in the community. So please take a look at your school day accounts. And if you don't have one, we can certainly assist you. Please call the office and we can get you started. And if that's any difficulties, then we can certainly send home a paper copy. As I said, September the 30th, the following Tuesday, is our Orange Shirt Day commemoration. And again, we spend time to just quiet our minds and our hearts as we think about the history of residential schools here in Canada and its impact, because this is part of a reality that we are all living through. Maybe some of us are not so aware in the moment, but we have families who have been, directly impacted by this piece of history, and it's important for all of us to take time to remember that. And the 2 weeks after that, the Friday, which is October 10th, is a PD day. So our teachers and staff will be in the building, and we'll be preparing for our preliminary reports to come. And your young students will be staying at home. And then at the end of October, October 29th, is our next school council meeting. So there'll be lots of information shared to you through school day, as well as school day blasts and whatnot, just to keep our families up to date. And the school website will be updated as well. So I hope if one way or another you still keep up to date with our upcoming events. And so this is my thank you to everyone who has participated in this meeting. And again, we recognize that sometimes families can't jump aboard immediately, but this will be recorded, or this has been recorded, and it will be posted on our school website by the end of the day. Thank you so much, everyone, and we hope you have a great evening. So, recording.